This stuff does not look good at all. I don't think it's supposed to be like goopy like that. On the front here, it says IRP, and there's something to the effect of individual ration food, but you can see that little logo with those 3 people with interlocked arms. On the back of it, we have the information for the company that packed this thing, and apparently they are called Friendship of the Peoples, and they are out of the Republic of Crimea, actually, which is pretty cool in my opinion. Down here at the bottom, it has the 4 different menu variations of this type of IRP, and it has the calorie count for each of them, the highest of which being 3980. It's 1.8 kilos, pretty dang heavy. You open it from the bottom. It does have a resealable Ziploc, so I guess you could take this on the go with you if you wanted to. However, now your carry handle is on the bottom of the pack and the Ziploc is on the top, so if you have anything heavy in here, it's probably gonna bust open. There is our box. I definitely smell some fruitiness. It's not a bad odor at this point, so hopefully nothing in here is too compromised. All right, so we have 3 moist towelettes right on top, a packet of instant coffee. These actually have English writing on them as well. That's a little bit different. We have sugar and salt. This has a little number 1 on it, so maybe this is actually menu 1 as opposed to menu 3. 2 Russian coffee bags. Looks like we have some more big packets of sugar. These are 20-gram packs of sugar. 1 more of those. Let's see what this little guy is. It's a peppermint. This looks like some apple jam to me. Indeed, it is apple jam. We have a little pack of what feels like a drink mix. Tonic drink berry mix. We have a fruit bar of some sort. 4 packs of Russian crackers. We have a little rubber banded 3 spoons, a tiny little pack of pepper, 2 more of those little mints. They do give you 1 for each meal. This is a different way of packing the water purification tablets. I'm guessing this is like some directions on these. A standard Russian Esbit style stove, and it looks like that the fuel tabs in this one have seen some collateral damage. The awesome Russian waterproof, windproof matches with a striker. Oh yeah. I've been wanting to try this stuff for a long time. This is basically your Russian version of Nutella. Chocolate nutty, chocolate peanut. I'm an absolute Nutella freak, so I will probably love this stuff. This package, though, does have a crack in it, but I'll still be trying that. I'm not afraid. Let's see what these cans are. I really like the labels on these. They're all in like camo. This is some kind of canned vegetable. Could be vegetable caviar, but it keeps saying pepper. This feels like cheese. Indeed, it is canned cheese. Some kind of berry jelly. This last small can is fresh canned meat. Keeps saying ham, so I'm guessing this is a pork product. There's our cans for the main entrees. Let's see what this one is. Peel off with beef. So I think this is gonna be a rice beef kasha of some sort, probably. Beef stuffed, top grade, can sterilized. This can has a lot of heft to it. And this last can has probably seen the most damage. It's sort of beat up, but still no leaks apparently. This is bird meat with beans and vegetables. It looks like that's chicken. Last few things we have in the box here. Give you 3 little napkins. Our actual contents list with the weight of each item. This looks to be an instructions list of some sort. This is dietary information. That's everything that's in the box. As usual, when I do a 24-hour ration, I use it as a 24-hour ration, so this will be the only food I will consume from now until breakfast tomorrow. I'm gonna break this down into 3 meals. This is roughly 4,000 calories of food, which is about twice what I would normally eat. So I'm expecting to be very full throughout the day and even probably have some leftovers. So let's go ahead and get breakfast started. So I've decided on a pretty light breakfast. For our main, we're gonna do the beef rice pilaf. We'll have our coffee. We'll be checking out this fruit bar. We have a pack of crackers. One of my most favorite items in any ration, the Russian apple jelly. And then I have various sugar, salt, pepper, if we need that. So I wanted to take a look at the main right quick before I put it on to heat up, because I want to see what it looks like cold. We'll go ahead and pull this tab back. Oh, okay. Some pretty fat grains of rice in there. Oh, that smells freaking awesome. I kind of just want to eat it cold, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go heat this thing up. It's very hard, so it definitely needs to be heated up. So I have the main boiling away. I am planning on using a Russian Esbit stove later in the day, though. So we have our moist towelettes. From what I've heard in other videos, green is for your gear and white is for yourself. These are one of the highest quality moist towelettes you'll find. Very strong, cloth-like material. No smell on this one whatsoever. Wipe off our spoon, and the one that is supposed to be for cleaning up of a person. See if it's any different. Same material. No smell on this one either. I think they're pretty much the same thing. For the coffee, we'll use one of our stem glasses. Looks to be freeze-dried coffee granules. not very much in there. Let's give that a sniff. Smells pretty good. It was a little odd that it was 2 size sugar packets in this ration. So you have your standard 20-gram sugar pack, but then they also gave us a smaller sugar pack. So let's look at this small one just to see if there is any difference between the two. There's no creamers in this as far as I could tell. Well, that's definitely sugar. It's a very granulated style, raw looking sugar. I guess I'll go ahead and taste this. 100% straight up sugar. Add that to our coffee. Even the small pack is more than I would put in 1 cup of coffee, so I put about 2/3 of that. So I have about 200 mils of water. I figure that's probably enough. And we'll give that a quick stir. Has a very nice smell coming off of it. Let's take a look at this fruit bar. It's not in a very thick package. And this looks reminiscent to a Lara bar or one of those raw bite bars. It's a little bit sticky. It smells of dried fruit, very raisiny or datey. It looks like it has some nuts or something in there. Definitely smells like dried fruits. I love these kind of things, so I'm probably gonna really enjoy that. Take a look at our simple Russian crackers. Get out a few. So this was not broken up or anything. It's sort of a golden brown complexion. I've seen these a little bit lighter before. Well, they have a pretty decent snap to them. There's a look at the inside, sort of airy and crumbly. They're a lot more dense than a saltine, and they're more bread-like in flavor. They really dry your mouth out, but I like these crackers. I don't find anything wrong with them at all. I need some of this coffee to wash that down though. Man, that's sweet. The actual coffee flavor is very light. It has almost no aroma. It just tastes like I'm drinking a hot sugary drink. It has a slight chicory flavor maybe. This tastes like very cheap dollar store instant coffee that has chicory in it. If you're really into coffee, you're probably not gonna like this, but I'm not a big coffee drinker, so I actually find this pretty okay. And it's very hot. All right, I absolutely have to try out some of this apple jelly. I freaking love this stuff. Hopefully this is to the same quality that I've had in the past. There's a look at it there, very dark in complexion, thick jam. Put a bite of that on the cracker. Oh yeah. The thing that makes it so good is it's not overpoweringly sweet. It has a little bit of tartness to it. It has this fantastic apple flavor. A lot of times jellies and jams just taste like sugar. This actually tastes like fruit. If this stuff was available in stores, I'd be buying it all the time. It's just so good. And it pairs up with these dry crackers perfectly. It makes them where they don't dry your mouth out nearly as bad. 5 stars for sure. On the apple jelly, that stuff's great. Having a hard time with the translation of the ingredients on this thing. I'll try to insert that if I can. Let's just go ahead and taste of it and see if we can dissect it with our taste buds. Get a nice bite of that. It's actually fairly sweet, but it's a very natural sweetness just from the fruit. It does have nuts in it, and they taste like hazelnuts to me. Well, this thing is delicious for one thing. I'm not exactly sure what kind of fruit is in it. It's very raisiny in flavor though. Super sweet, very rich for a fruit bar. Wow, this thing is like super enjoyable to eat. It's a little bit chewy. No crunchiness really. It just has this awesome dried fruit flavor. That thing's freaking fantastic. I've had our main boiling away in a water bath for the better part of 10 minutes or so. Hopefully it is warm throughout. Go ahead and dump this out onto our tray here. Has some nice oils dripping from the inside of the package. It did come out all in one clump. So we have some carrot chunks, some beef chunks. Still feels pretty hard. There's a piece of onion. There's actually a fair bit of carrot in this. Not very much meat. There are some nice pieces. Like that's a pretty good nice piece of what looks like some beef roast. Sort of stringy in texture, slow cooked. The smell coming off this is outrageous. It smells so good. There's a nice big chunk of meat right there. That looks a little bit better now that it's broken up. This stuff has me salivating. Just the aroma, the smell coming off this. I have to just go straight in and taste it. Oh man, that is so home cooked tasting. It has a black pepper undertone to it. Man, it felt like it was gonna be a little hard, but it's not. It's well heated. That rice is like the perfect texture. It's slightly greasy, but in the best way possible. This is one of the best things I've ever tasted in a ration. The last IRP that I had some chicken and rice in it, and that was probably my favorite main up until this point. This one might actually have it beat out. This stuff is crazy good. It's very lightly spiced, oniony, garlicky, a little sweet from the carrot. The meat pieces are pretty small, so they kind of just disappear, but it doesn't matter because this tastes amazing. If you're into rations and you haven't tried Russian food yet, it is some of the best out there. It's just different. It doesn't taste like preservatives. It tastes like freshly cooked, high quality, awesome food. This main alone was worth the price of this whole ration easily. Well, normally I try the main with some cracker, or I try to spice it up with some of the included salt or pepper or whatever. This needs absolutely nothing. It's perfect just the way it is. The friendship of the peoples in Crimea did a crazy good job on this stuff. I will try this one piece of meat by itself just to give you an idea of that. Super tender, it just kind of melts away and tastes like grandma's pot roast, basically. I'm a huge rice fan anyway, and this is just like right up my alley. I'm gonna finish this up and I'll be right back at you with lunch. Initially, the translation for this was saying stuffed beef, but I spent a little bit more time on it trying to get the translator to work a little bit better, and it does look like it is going to be stewed beef and not stuffed beef. Let's go ahead and open this up and take a look at it just to make sure. Oh yeah, wow, that's a giant piece of meat. Look at that. Yeah, this is definitely Tushonka. You can see lots of fat in there. That's going to impart a lot of flavor to it. And holy crap, does this stuff smell good. All right, well, I'm very excited about that one. We will be using a Esbit stove of the Russian variety for this portion of the meal. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. I already have the stove folded here with an Esbit fuel tab on it. I'm gonna have that inside of my Dutch mess kit there so we don't make a mess just in case it boils over. I have a Russian waterproof, windproof match and a little Russian striker. We'll try to get this match going. Third attempt. There it goes. And we'll just put that right on the edge of our fuel tab there. That's burning vigorously, so hopefully that will light. Oh yeah, that's catching immediately. Let's see what kind of temperature that thing's burning at. On the cold spot there, it's at about 150. And then on the fire, well, we're well up to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's burning pretty well already. We'll just sit our Tushonka right on top of that. I'm expecting that one fuel tab to be sufficient to heat that meal. For the rest of my lunch, I decided to do the cheese and also this canned meat product. This can, though, seems a little bit puffy. Kind of worried about that. It might be that it's just caved in here and that caused it to puff out a little bit on the sides. There doesn't seem to be any kind of leakage or anything, but I'm going to be very careful with this one, make sure it smells good before I actually try to taste this one, because it could be off a little bit. I don't know. There was a little bit of air that rushed out of that. It looks like it's in really good shape, though. It is a luncheon loaf of some sort. It looks very pink, and it smells pretty good. If you've ever had like a deviled ham or something like that, very similar to that sort of smell, sort of like a mashed up Vienna sausage type smell. And there is some nice oils and stuff. This would have probably been good heated as well. Even though that can was puffed up a little bit, I do think this looks fine to eat. Let's pour it out of the can just to make sure it looks good all around. There was a little bit of juice and jelly and some fat around that, but it looks like a pretty good puck of pork there. We'll take a look at our cheese as well. And that's just very standard, uniform, white colored canned cheese. It doesn't smell like much of anything, very light cheese odor. Doesn't smell very sharp at all. Our main really seems to be kicking off. I'm hearing some sizzling and bubbling coming from it. A lot of that fat seems to be rendering down already, so it's doing pretty good. This ration only has one fruit style drink mix, so I figured we'd do it for lunch. It's looking like this is calling for 240 milliliters of water. Sort of a red tone to it. Looks to have some large sugar crystals in there. Doesn't smell like anything particular, just very fruity, a berry sort of smell. Fair amount of powder in there. The main is over here absolutely boiling at this point. That fuel tab's doing awesome. Let's take another little temperature reading of that right fast. So on the inside there, the liquid, we're already looking at 180 to 200 degrees. The inside of the meat's not quite that hot yet. It is splashing out just a little bit too, so I'm glad I put it in that mess tin so it doesn't make a big mess. Let's give this drink a quick stir. Has some rather large chunks that are taking a while to dissolve. And man, this Esbit stove is really going to town. The aroma coming from this is a mix of stinky fuel tab and delicious smelling stewed meat. Cut off a spoon of that. It's not super soft. Trying to mush it a little bit. It has a few larger fibers of very soft and tender pork meat in there, so it's not a complete like pate texture either. Sort of just a generic meat loaf of sorts. Oh yeah, it's perfectly fresh. It's salty, sort of along the lines of like a Spam type of deal. It's a very standard luncheon loaf. I like this kind of stuff, so it's not a problem for me at all. Some people might be turned off by it. It's very meaty and savory. Let's open up another pack of these crackers. These are a little bit broken up looking. And I'll try another little bite of this on a cracker. That's probably the way this is meant to be consumed. We got a nice chunk of pork loaf on the cracker there. The cracker really tones down the saltiness of the pork. The flavors mix very well. That's a pretty dang good combination. Let's look at a little bit of our cheese here. So it's a very soft consistency, extremely white in color. It's sort of weird in that it's like sticky, not really runny. I guess we'll just go ahead and try that out. That's a little weird. Not flavor-wise. The texture is so insanely creamy. It sort of like sticks to your teeth a little bit. You can tell it's processed cheese, but it's not sharp at all. It doesn't taste like a cheddar. It's very mild along the lines of like a cream cheese or mozzarella. It's certainly different from the other IRP cheese that I tried in the past. Let's try some of that with a cracker. Well, that makes the cheese better in every way. That's a fantastic combination. I don't really like it that much by itself, but on the cracker, pretty dang good. I think we'll get a little bit more of this pork loaf, place that on our cracker here, and we'll top that off with some of this creamy cheese. And I don't know about you, but to me, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and give that a taste. The cracker just kind of fell apart, but those mixed together, awesome. It's salty and briny, and that cheese adds a creamy richness to it. The little snap of the cracker, just everything about these three items go together perfectly. Sounds like the fuel tab over here is pretty much burning itself out. I need to wash some of this other stuff down with some of this berry drink. It's got a high sugar content to it. Has a very nice, light berry flavor. Tastes like raspberry. I prefer that to any kind of drink in a US MRE. I'm not into the heavily flavored, heavily colored drinks. It would have been nice if they would have gave you a bigger pack of it so it could maybe make 500 milliliters, a full glass. You could definitely add some more water to that and dilute it if you needed to. But I think that ratio of water to mix is just about perfect for the flavor punch that you really want from your drink like that. Sounds like our fuel tab finally burned itself out. We'll try to get this onto the tray without burning myself. All of that fat rendered down into a nice juice. And that's just, I can't get over how big of a chunk of meat that is. Look at that thing. That looks freaking awesome. Everything came out of the pack easily. Take a closer look at it. It seems to be all one chunk of meat from the same animal. It's not really formed and pressed like I expected it to be. Oh yeah, it's just like a really nice pot roast is what it looks like. It's tender enough to cut with a spoon, but it does feel like it has some amount of connective tissue left in it. The smell is just heavenly. I don't know if any MRE you're gonna get that's gonna have a chunk of meat like this in it. This is so substantial. That was a 250 gram main, and at least 200 grams of that is just straight meat. All right, I gotta taste a bite of this. Check that out. Wow, that is so rich. It has a little bit of that gelatinous material that you get when you slow cook beef, where the fat kind of turns into jello a little bit. Oh, I love that stuff. It's an unctuousness that you don't get from other types of meat. It only comes from like beef and lamb and stuff like that, where you slow cook it and it just, oh, gets so good. The salt level in this is really high. Between this whole lunch, that's gotta be more sodium than you should probably be consuming in a single day. It's just like a slow cooked pot roast. No heavy flavorings. The meat shines through, it's the star. Just look at that hunk of meat. Oh, so good. And the crackers soak up this juice a little bit. That's sure enough some good stuff. This has turned out to be a pretty fantastic ration so far. I'm really looking forward to finishing it up with dinner. We'll do a pack of tea. We'll have our bird meat, our fruit puree, our vegetable, whatever it is. We'll try out some of that chocolate peanut spread, although the picture on this looks more like a hazelnut to me. We have a pack of crackers. Looks like there's some beans in here, some large pieces of carrot, red bell pepper, and that's what it smells like is bell peppers. Supposed to have bird meat in it, but I don't quite see the bird meat. Let's go ahead and get that heating up and we'll check out some of this other stuff. We'll get this tea going first, since it'll take a little while to steep. Pack does have a little tear notch, and of course that tear notch failed. There's some tea residue inside of the pack there. Have 200 mils of hot water. Quick update from the previous meals in the day. I felt no discomfort or indigestion from any of the other meals. The only negative that I found is that I've had this extreme thirst ever since I was finished with my lunch, and I'm sure that's due to the fact that I have consumed an extreme amount of sodium already today, and I'm sure there will be even more sodium going on with our dinner meal. So I've just been pounding water all day long. We'll take a quick look at what was translated as jelly. Be very careful opening this one. Oh wow, look at that stuff. It looks so thick. Oh wow, that smells awesome. It smells super sweet. It literally is just like jam or jelly. So it smells like a preserve. And these were our vegetables. I don't know if it was supposed to be heated or not. I guess I'm not going to heat it. And it is definitely trying to make a mess here. Spilt some, but not too much. This looks a lot like the vegetable caviar that I've seen in the past. And it smells like it too, except for it has a distinct red pepper smell, which that was one of the top ingredients on the ingredients list. I think flavor-wise, that'll match up well with the main entree because it smelled heavily of red peppers as well. We'll put out a few of these crackers just to have on hand. The tea's darkening up nicely, but I think it needs another couple more minutes. Let's go ahead and grab that main. I think this tea is ready for the sugar. I do want to try just a sip unsweetened, so we'll do that first. I never know how long to let tea steep for. So there's a look at it. Just looks like a standard black tea sort of look. It's just very mild, slightly bitter. Do think it would benefit from some sugar, so we'll get one of our big 20-gram sugar bags. See if this is any different from the sugar we had earlier in the day. It might be a little bit more white in complexion, but other than that, it looks pretty much the same. Got a healthy dose of that. Let's check out this main. I heated it up nicely. It seems pretty loose now that I got it hot. It's got a lot of carrot chunks in it. And I can see a nice big piece of red bell pepper there. It has these rather large beans distributed throughout. I'm not quite sure what kind of beans those are. Pintos possibly, but I don't really know. They're not kidney beans because they're not red. I'm not a bean aficionado. The meat in it is a processed meat product, it looks like. Some kind of composite ground meat. It's like a mince. There's not very much in here. Just a few pieces like this that are on the large size. And then the rest of this looks mainly like beans and carrots. Has a substantial amount of oil in the side. Pretty characteristic of these Russian rations. First thing I want to taste is some of this vegetable mash. It visibly has some red pepper pieces in it. I haven't really seen that before in the vegetable caviar that I've seen in Russian rations. Try that one out. So in flavor profile, it's similar to some vegetable caviar I've had before, but it also has a roasted red pepper flavor, which is very complimentary. On a pretty regular basis, I eat roasted red pepper hummus. It's one of my preferred snacks, and this reminds me a lot of that. That stuff is pretty good. I tried just a little bite on a cracker here. Yeah, that goes fairly decently with a cracker. This isn't anything outstanding, but in no way is it bad. It's very edible, palatable. It's fine. Try out a bite of our main. Want to get a little bit of everything, a little bit of bean, a little bit of red pepper, some carrot. There's a nice healthy spoonful of that. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it. I wasn't really expecting that. It's not overly sweet, but it has a little sweetness to it. Those beans, whatever kind of beans they are very tender. Man, that was pretty good. Let's try another bite of that. All right, here is a piece of meat, and this looks to have some actual meat fibers in it. So yeah, it has some fibers of chicken meat in there. That's what they were calling the bird meat. So there is some actual chicken in this dish. And that chicken was tender, not dry. Then the oil is aiding in keeping everything nice and moist. You can taste the red pepper through pretty much everything, but it's not overpowering. Everything in this just blends very well. This sort of reminds me of a white chili, if you've ever had one of those before. It's like a white chili with no spice whatsoever. It's just very mild, but tasty. I think that would be pleasing to pretty much any palate. Let's try a little bit of our vegetable puree on the main, because I think those are actually gonna mix pretty dang good. Healthy dollop on top there. That bite had a large piece of chicken in it too. Oh yeah, these mix perfectly. And just to add a little crunch to that, I think we'll load up a cracker with a little of both as well. That's looking pretty fantastic to me. Man, this is good stuff. Let's take a sip of our sweetened tea. Oh yeah, that's much better sweet. It's also not so hot now that it's burning my mouth. I like that a lot. It's kind of weird having a warm drink with my dinner, but still very good. Oh, I'm just gonna keep devouring this main, I guess. It's so good I don't want to stop eating it. That last bite had a hard piece of something in it. I don't really know what that is, but I'm not gonna swallow it. So let's look at this fruit jam. This was a bit of a surprise to me. I wasn't really expecting to have two different kinds of jam in this ration. That's straight up what this is. A consistency like it has a high pectin content. I don't really know how you're supposed to eat this, whether it's supposed to be a spread to put in your cracker or you are going to eat it with a spoon. Let's just try it by itself off the spoon there. Whoa! Wow, that's some of the best strawberry jam I've ever had. This is strawberry jam, and very high quality strawberry jam at that. And a large portion. Look how much they give you. I'm definitely not the kind of person that would go around eating jam off a spoon, but this is so good that you can eat it that way if you really wanted to. It's tart, it's sweet, and it has a fantastic strawberry flavor. Try some of that on a cracker, because I'm sure that's probably the way it's meant to be eaten. Get a nice, healthy dollop, because I have a lot of it in there. Oh man, that is good stuff. I thought the apple jam was good, and it is, but this strawberry is equally awesome. Nothing needs salt, that's for sure, and nothing really needs pepper either, but I just want to try out a little bit of this to see what kind of pepper we're dealing with. A very fine ground, powder style black pepper, and it tastes pretty dang good. It has a little bit of spice to it. I love black pepper. Let's see how that is with the black pepper. Oh yeah. Just that little bit of heat that adds, and that added little peppery bite makes that even better. It didn't need it, but it definitely doesn't hurt it. The last thing we have to look at is one of the things that I've been the most excited about. I'm gonna go ahead and open the one that had the little crack in it just to get it out of the way. I'm sure it will still be fine to eat. Pull back the top on that. Oh wow, oh no. This does not look right. Maybe that crack sort of ruined this, so I might have to open the other one too. This stuff does not look good at all. I don't think it's supposed to be like goopy like that. Well, it still smells okay. It's just sort of hardened up in the spot where the crack was. There's not really anything in chocolate that goes bad enough that can kill you. So I wouldn't be afraid to try this, but I don't think this is gonna be a good representation of what this stuff is supposed to taste like. Let's go ahead and try it anyway, just to be for certain. It has some chunks all in it. I don't know what that is. It's a weird consistency. It's like chocolate syrup almost. I was not expecting that. I was expecting it to be more like a Nutella style spread, but it's got some hard chunks. I don't know if those are nut chunks or chocolate chunks or something. I'm gonna have to open the other one too to compare these things side by side. It's weird. It's like a chunky chocolate syrup. Let's give that a taste. It's got some crunchies in it. It's not bad. It's a little perfumey. I don't know if it's really supposed to taste like that or not. And those chunks of stuff that's in it, they're not nuts. I'm not getting any nut flavor from this at all, really. It's almost like it has puffed rice or something in it. I'm not sure what that is. This was definitely not what I was expecting. It has sort of a chemical flavor. It's fairly sweet. You can tell it's chocolate, but it's not a high quality chocolate. It doesn't have any of that dark chocolate deepness to it or anything. Originally, I wanted to save this other one, but since that one's a little bit weird, I figured we'd go ahead and look at it too, just to compare the two. They may be the same on the inside. I don't know. That's what we gotta find out. It's mostly the same. This one doesn't have those dried chunks like the other one does. It does look a little better, I would say. But it still has those pieces of whatever the heck that is on the inside of here. There's some stuck to the lid there. Try one of those by itself to try to figure out what that is. To me, it just seems sort of like a crystallized sugar. This one doesn't have as many pieces of it. Maybe the other one is kind of old. I don't know. This is seeming quite a bit more smooth and creamy than the other one was. Less runny. It has sort of a weird waxy like chemical to it though. It's definitely not Nutella, that's for sure. This one most certainly tastes better than that one. So maybe that one is a little bit off. I'm still gonna eat it, I don't care. Like it's good enough for me to consume, I'm not gonna waste it, but this one does taste better. I'm a little bit disappointed in this stuff. This was one of the things in the ration I was looking forward to the most, and I think it's actually one of the weakest components in the ration. I am making a huge mess, look at this. There's just like chocolate everywhere. Now let's taste a bite of that on the cracker. This adds a sweetness to the cracker, but the cracker flavor actually overpowers it. If you wanna eat this stuff, you pretty much just need to eat it with a spoon right out of the pack. Well, we're down to one last component to try, and that's one of our little mints. Let's see if that is just a mint or whether it's gum. That is 100% gum, and it is awesome. It's a lot like a Mentos gum, very refreshing, perfect way to end a meal. Well guys, that was one of the newer Russian IRPs, 24-hour rations, and this thing easily kept me fed all day long. I have leftovers from every single meal, which I'm going to share with members of my family. This was probably the best tasting ration that I've experienced to date. This thing is fantastic. It was not even that expensive. Well worth it, in my opinion, to try this one out. That Friendship of the Nations in the Republic of Crimea, those guys know what they're doing when they're making ration food. This stuff is fantastic. Now, I don't know how long this stuff holds up on the shelf. This was a fairly fresh ration. I can imagine that some of the things would probably go bad, maybe a year after the expiration date, something like that. I had one package compromised, which isn't bad at all when you're having something shipped all the way across the world like that. Definitely one of the best rations I've ever had, that's for sure. It was a pleasure to check it out. Thanks so much for watching, guys. This has been Ration Rewind, the series in which I'm reposting my old ration reviews from my first YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up to help it out with that Google algorithm. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to catch all of my future ration content. This is the one-stop shop for MRE related content, old and new, foreign and domestic, military and commercial. We do it all here on Readiness Rations. Be sure to drop me a comment and check out my social links down in the description of this video. And I will be back with a new video for you guys next week. Until then, I will catch you in the next video. See you then. Peace.